What's up, guys? This is a new podcast episode. We got wants to introduce themselves first. Any of y'all?
Hey everyone, I'm Jake Gutterman. Excited to be on today. Let's get it.
What's up, y'all? I'm Harry. I'm excited to be here as well.
What's up? I'm Brennan, driving currently, but I'm excited to be on it.
All right, so big weekend NBA right now. Do we have a specific series that we're looking at that intrigues us the most, or is there a series that what series are you guys most excited for coming up as round one?
Boston and Brooklyn.
Yeah, same here.
Why?
KD and Kyrie versus Jason Tatum and freaking Jaylen Brown. Come on.
Yeah, I
definitely
feel like
Boston, Brooklyn for sure.
I feel like they're not an easy 7 seed to beat. It's not, Boston's good, but KD and Kyrie are just like probably one of the two best players in the league. KD for sure. So it's definitely I don't know. It's either going to be a game 7 or I think Brooklyn like really has a good chance. So I feel like it's going to be a really fun series to watch. So yeah.
I'm also liking Raptors 76ers. I think the Raptors turned it on later in the season. They're definitely a pretty good underrated team. And
Yeah.
Those 76ers, man. James Harden.
Let's talk about James Harden.
Yeah, he's not the James Harden he used to be. I personally think I don't know. He's just like he's slower now. His shot isn't working as well. He shot 41% from the field and had one of his like worst 3-point percentage shooting seasons. I don't know. He didn't maybe the first like 5 games in Philly he was playing really well, and then he kind of he didn't look like he's playing that well. So I don't know. I feel like the Raptors also have been turning it on. So I feel like it's going to be a tough series for Philly. They're going to need to like really turn it on, and James is really going to need to play better.
I'll turn that to you, Harry. We found Matisse Thybulle. He's not vaccinated. He can't play in Toronto. How big of an issue is that for Philly, not having their best defender against the length and athleticism of Toronto?
Well, their best player is just like 4. Yeah, Siakam is a 4. So like, to be honest, like it would be a difference, but it won't be like a big factor. I think for like Toronto for winning. Like even though he's a good defender, but I think he guards mainly guards, and like Gary Trent Jr. is like I feel like he's inconsistent sometimes.
He's pretty streaky, right? Gary Trent Jr. is pretty streaky. What will be the deciding factor in Philly against Toronto? Is it Harden? Because we know Embiid's going to do his thing. Or is there some outlier thing that might happen, or is something going to happen? What do you guys think will make or break this series between these two tough teams?
I think at the end of the day, Harden has to play like at bare minimum. He's got to play like a top 20 player in the league. Like if he goes out there and plays, like barely a top 100 player, I mean, you're asking Embiid to put up then 40 and 16, for the series, right? Which he probably can do, but
40 and 16?
Averaging. I mean, I don't know if he if there's one guy in the league that can do that, it's probably Embiid.
100%.
But they need Harden to just, I think they'll get it done if he plays like a top 20 player. If he doesn't, very much in question. And he damn well better play like a top 20 player.
Yeah.
They're gonna pay him. They're gonna pay him like the number 1 player.
Harden, yeah. And we can talk about Harden. Go ahead.
It's also about coaching too with Doc Rivers.
Yes. This guy knows.
My experience with the Clippers, like he's so stubborn, like as a coach. This feel like it comes with coaching as well.
Yes. And let's talk about the massive expectations in Philly. They obviously trade Ben Simmons. They have to, where do they need to go for Doc to save his job? Because they have a short timeline, as you guys alluded to. Harden's kind of dipping down. He's in decline a little bit, I would say. Embiid's in his prime right now. They don't have a bench. Essentially, they traded, Seth Curry and Andre Drummond. What is the expectation Philly needs to get to this year before, things collapse on them? or the media? What is the media going to say if they
I-
don't get two?
I think the only
They definitely-
acceptable team that the Sixers can lose to in the conference is Milwaukee. If they lose to any other team besides Milwaukee, man, I don't even know what's gonna happen. But like, they're
they
kind of
they need to beat I mean if they get out the first round, Doc will lose his job, and it'll be a bust of a trade, because if you think about it, if you're going to put Philly and then Brooklyn up, playing each other, it's like that'll determine who won the trade, essentially, whichever team wins the series. And then that'll backfire on Morey, who gave up a lot of great depth, on the bench. Like Seth Curry, since he came to Brooklyn, he's been averaging like some of his best points and killing it. And Drummond is just a great player and a great rebounder, and and Ben Simmons comes back, and what if he's healthy and starts playing really well? So yeah, I think they definitely need to beat Toronto, and they definitely need to get out of the semis for them to really be a successful team and for Doc to save his job.
How about you, Harry?
To be honest, I think like the main key factor as well for Philly is Tobias Harris, because like if he
Yes.
doesn't do good in the playoffs, I think he's gonna be traded when they blow up the whole team. I think if they play with Doc Rivers.
Tobias Harris is the most overpaid player in the NBA. Does anybody want to argue that? He's got the worst contract.
Russell Westbrook, but
Yeah, I was gonna Russ right there probably has
Russ
the
is
worst. 'Cause we
Russ is
paid him
on an
over 40
expiring
mil a year.
contract. He's on an expiring-
It's John Wall. It's John Wall.
John
yeah,
Wall. too.
John Wall. Yeah, Wall's better. Yeah, that was.
But
the
yeah,
worst
no,
conference.
Tobias hasn't been really playing that well since James got to the team. So honestly, James needs to play well, and Tobias needs to play well for Philly to succeed, because you can't just give it all to Joel Embiid. He can only do so much.
Okay,
yeah.
so Philly and Toronto. I want each of you guys to give your prediction and the amount of games and the deciding factor. Who wins, Jake? I'll start with you. Philly, Toronto.
All right, I'll say Philly in 7. I think that I think that the biggest thing is James Harden plays okay enough now for you guys to be pissed, nobody to be pissed off at him, but he's not wowing anybody off the screen. But I think it comes down to Embiid is just an absolute monster. 35, 40 per game, and 12, 13, 14, 15 rebounds per game.
Harry, I'll kick it off with you now. Who you got?
I think Philly on 6.
Philly and 6.
Yeah. Like
Why?
Toronto won one game at their home, and then they won one game at Philly. Like I just don't see them like being in the
Don't see-
Philly.
They're a little short on their depth as well, and they're not big. As Jake said, Embiid could really go to town, although Toronto plays great defense. Brennan, how about you?
I got Philly in 7. I think Philly's going to end up pulling it together, and I think they're the better team. But I think it'll be a challenge. I don't think they're going to win every game, and they're going to need to lose some games to figure their shit out. But ultimately, yeah, I think Philly's going to win.
I agree. I think Philly in 7, they'll move on. They'll squeak by Toronto. Toronto's tough. Let's not ignore that. So that's that. Let's shift it up to this, or we'll go down to the South. Miami and Atlanta. Atlanta comes back last night as courtesy of who? Trae Young.
Trae Young, he's a beast.
And
Ice Trae.
Ice Trae, right? Miami and Atlanta, good series. Miami doesn't wow anybody. I don't think they're good, but I don't think they scare anybody. So how do you guys foresee that series going between two division rivals that know each other pretty well?
I say like 5 games. I give like the Hawks 1 game.
Trae Young will get them 1, right?
Yeah, and then after that, they're like done.
The
I think.
defense. How about you guys? What's
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
you, Jake, you go.
Yeah, I think 5 games. I think Miami's a very complete team. They got a lot of Hero, Bam Adebayo, great defense. Bam might be defensive player of the year. Jimmy's also locked down still on that. Can get you 20, 25. So I think
Oh shit. Sorry.
I don't think it'll be that competitive. Maybe Trae Young gets you, Ice Trae goes off for 35, 40 and gets you 1 game.
Brennan?
Yeah, I mean, look, Trae Young is obviously a terrific player, and you're seeing mad improvement from that guy. But I think Miami as a whole, they played really well this season. Even like that stretch where they lost like 5 or 6 in a row. That I still think they're going to win at least in 5 or 6. I give Philly 1 or 2. I mean, I give Atlanta 1 or 2 games to win. But Yeah, I think Miami's going to win. Bam, defensive player. He's a monster. Tyler Hero's playing on another level right now. Jimmy's obviously terrific. So I definitely see Miami taking this one.
Absolutely, I agree. I think it'll go 6. Atlanta's sneaky unless Capella, who got hurt yesterday, we don't know how bad that is, and we don't know John Collins' situation. So it'll either be 5 or 6 depending on Capella. Most entertaining series, Boston and Brooklyn. Two big that's a big series, a little chippiness with Kyrie and that Boston crowd. Boston's played like the best basketball since January 1st. Harry, what's your take on that series
Oh, that's hard.
with Brooklyn coming together now?
It's like I don't know. It's just like I think it's gonna come to role players like stepping up. Like obviously they have like two duos, but just I think like has to be like either comes from like Patty Mills like going off the bench or who's like a role player in the Celtics, like Marcus Smart, like doing like crazy
Mark's
defense.
big, yeah, he's big. So what do
I
you
know
got?
KD's gonna drop like 40. Kyrie's gonna drop like 30 something. But then Brown's gonna score like 28, and then Jason Tatum's gonna go for 40. It's really just like two offensive threats, like duos.
So who do you have?
I'm taking Brooklyn though, since they have more like vets, like KD and Kyrie have experience more in the playoffs.
Brooklyn on what?
7.
Tough going in the Garden and 7, Brennan.
Yeah, look, KD and Kyrie, when they play together, they're an ultimate duo. Those guys just go off. And I think they have some good pieces. And I think Ben Simmons might come back. And even if he plays 10, 15 minutes a game, like defensively, that's what they need. Because I think the Nets lack some defense, clearly, like, a lot of high scoring games, but they're great offensively. But and Boston as well, Tatum and Brown really are explosive. And Tice at center is a good defender, but I do think Brooklyn's gonna win in 7. So Brooklyn, even though they're the 7th seed, to me that doesn't really matter. They made the playoffs and they're gonna turn it on. And KD's won championships. He's got mentality. Kyrie's won a championship. He has that mentality. And I think that's gonna ultimately be a factor over Boston.
Jake?
Yeah, I think also I think the money is slightly favoring the Celtics, but I think I just gotta go with the Nets in 7. You think about their guys, they're fresher. Kyrie's pretty fresh. He only played like 25, 30 games, so he's ready to go. We saw how efficient he was against the Cavs in that playing game. Like
He would have had a monster year had he not.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at Kyrie's stats, like he'd be like all NBA first team,
Yeah.
This could have worked. This could have worked in Brooklyn's favor. Because like Jake said, yeah, he's fresh as hell. And like, he's got a lot of energy in his tank. So
well, I'm gonna go against the grain here. I think Boston's playing outstanding. They played better defensively. And though if Tatum has to match Durant, if he doesn't match KD, because Tatum's going to be on all NBA first team this year. If he does not match Durant, yes, Brooklyn will win this series. But the Brooklyn plays 0 defense. They don't have any defense. I'm going to go with Boston. They got Brown, they got Smart, they got Tatum. We'll see if Robert Williams comes back, but their depth as well should allow them. Plus home court, it's loud in Boston in the playoffs. I would go with Boston 6 or 7 for sure.
KD's playing pretty good defense actually, and
he's having some
player is not their nucleus as a team is not. It's not a good defensive team. They blow every lead. They have how many leads have they had that they've blown? So yeah, they have the 2 best players in the series. Or if you want to argue Tatum over Kyrie, but I'm gonna go with
they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna figure it out.
Best. How about the quickest series in the East? Bucks, Bulls.
Oh man, Bucks are sweeping. I'll start.
Yeah, Bucks are sweeping.
Bucks are sweeping. I got to tell you, and I don't even think it's a long shot. I think Bucks are the best team in the East, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won again. I mean, Adam, you and I have talked about this. You know that I think the Bucks are the best.
Yep.
But I don't think Bulls don't have Lonzo right now. He was playing great.
Mm-hmm.
I think DeRozan is still amazing, but I don't think he's playing as well as he was when he was like a top 3 MVP candidate this year. Zach LaVine having those injuries, and
Right.
the Bucks are so dominant with Giannis being in his prime, and arguably he's the best player in the world right now. And Drew Holiday playing terrific basketball, and all around they just have a great team. Grayson Allen. So yeah,
The clown,
I
yeah,
think
don't fuck with
I
those.
don't think the Bulls stand a chance, and I think it's going to be the one series where I can definitively say that Bucks are going to sweep the Bulls.
Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I mean 4 or 5
Agree.
games. Maybe the Bulls can get one in, but 50% chance 4 games, 50% chance 5 games. It's not going to be close. The Bucks are a complete team. They know how to win, and Giannis can completely go off any given night. The Bulls just don't have that one guy that can, completely take over a game.
Harry?
Like, how you call it? I think it's gonna go. Just watching DeMar go off with the Clippers like 50, I'm just like, I feel like he can do that with the Bucks. Like,
Yeah, he's for people that, Brennan, to your point, actually DeRozan led in points total from the All-Star break. So he went under the radar because Chicago slipped. But as Harry said, DeMar.
Yeah, maybe it was his hype. It was his hype that did. Yeah, he's great. It's just they're not. You have to have Lonzo, Caruso, Levine, DeRozan all healthy, all playing together.
Yeah.
That's why they were the number 1 team at the beginning of the season. But without Lonzo's, perimeter, his guard defense, and then his great 3-point shooting, that's a big loss for them. And the Bucks know how to win. So
I'll say that DeRozan falls apart in the playoffs, but he's having a great year. But you zone in on a guy like that. I love the Bulls. You guys should know that. They're going out quick. They've limped into the playoffs. They haven't been healthy from the get-go. There's no chemistry, I think, there. And who has Giannis? Milwaukee has Giannis. There's no answer for Giannis. This is a quick series. Maybe Chicago pokes one in.
I bet you if Chicago slipped into the play-in tournament, that they probably wouldn't have won any of the games.
Maybe not. Yeah, that's a good point. And Cleveland, what happened to Cleveland? Anybody have a take on Cleveland? All year they were so good.
Is Jared Allen hurt, right?
Jared Allen, yeah, that is when their season.
Yeah.
He's a very good player. He's probably a top 10 center. So
he makes a big difference. I love Darius Garland. I think he's a terrific point guard, and I think he's going to be one of the best in the league in coming years. He has a very high ceiling. I think if you had to take one team out and put one in, I would take Chicago and I'd put Cleveland in. I think Cleveland, when they lost Allen,
Brennan. You can't do that though.
I'm saying hypothetically, Adam, that they with Allen, they started losing some games, but I think nobody thought that they were gonna have a winning record. Everybody was like, Cavs are gonna suck this year. They don't have anybody.
They have a great future. Great future. How about the West? Does anybody? So we're gonna go, and we have to address this, Harry. I know the Clippers.
It's been a day.
They're great. They're tough. Aren't the Clippers tough guys? They're very tough.
Yeah,
they're tough.
Yeah, they're a great team. They would have won if PG didn't get COVID.
Yeah, that was awful news, by the way.
Yesterday's morning, I woke up and I saw that. I'm like, like April Fools, or like this is like a joke. But then I was like, wow, the freaking Clippers luck, yo.
This is a legit question. Clippers finished 42-40. New Orleans finishes 36-46. Do you think the play-in game? Do you guys like it, or do you think a team that finished 10 games under should have got even a shot to get in? Because Clippers all year deserved it, despite not having George and Kawhi most of the year. They finished 2 over. New Orleans finishes 10 under. What's your guys' take on why if the play-in game should stick to a team that maybe doesn't deserve it as much?
I'm like 50-50 about it. Like, I have like how you call it? It's like it's good because sometimes there's injuries. Like teams who are like 9-10, they deserve to be in the playoffs. But with the Clippers this season, like they totally deserve more than Pelicans. But like I can't hate on it because like I see like
they had 2 shots to win. They had 2 shots to win. That's
they had 2 shots. Every other baseball and football have do or die.
Yes.
Situation. So I mean the NBA wants that, and It's not like, okay, even if the Clippers were to get in, I mean, it was insanely unlikely they would win it all anyway, right?
Right. Right.
So
No,
it
no, they,
doesn't,
they would have been bounced, but they're
yeah.
good. Brennan?
Had Kawhi played this season, I think they would have been a top 4 seed in the
Oh,
league.
That's not
yeah,
the,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not the question though. Should they
No,
get
I
rid
know.
of the?
I'm adding on to his statement.
Yes, of course.
You know, there's good and bad. I'll say the good about the playing tournament is that
Mhm.
those guys that are 7th to 10th seed, they really have to fight to want to be in the playoffs. It's that extra boost. Like, all right, like they need to lock in early. They need to switch their mentality and lock in early and play really well. To fight for the playoffs. I also, I would say part of me also disagrees with it because, like, your point, like, I don't think a 36-44 team deserves to be in the playoffs. That clearly means that they didn't play well enough.
Mhm.
If Clippers had a way better season than the Pelicans, and honestly, Cleveland had a better season than Atlanta. But so I think there's up and down to it. But I feel like in the coming years, if we were to see more like 36 and 44 teams beating the teams over 500, I would eliminate it because at the end, those guys play 82 games in a season to fight for a
Mhm.
winning record to ultimately fight to be in the playoffs, and it definitely sucks to not make it because you lost a game or two in a play-in tournament.
So
So
I'll give this question to the Clipper fan. Where do the Clippers go from here? You're gonna bring back Paul George and Kawhi. I would assume they're gonna be no worse than 2 to 3 next year in the West. You have to give Kawhi a little time to acclimate from a ACL injury. He probably will be better the year after next year. But are you confident where the Clippers are?
I feel I feel like they need to make a trade in the offseason for like I don't know for like
They
a
need a
center like
better big.
Zubog.
Yeah.
I think like Zubog's good, like honestly, like he's good, but like I just feel like we need like a top like 10, 15-ish center.
Right.
Like I really want Miles Turner, like defense and 3-pointer. Like I feel like
Can't
if he
stay
comes,
healthy,
like
but yeah.
him, I
Yeah,
really
that'd be
want him.
great. So
But
you're
like
confident, you're confident that they make one little move, they're title contenders next year.
yeah.
You too.
If not, we still like to be honest, we still I feel for next year.
yeah, Clippers for sure be a top team next year without a doubt. They're good.
Yeah.
I think people forget, like, right before Kawhi got injured, he was looking like the best player on the planet. We'll see how he comes back, but
Okay, let's
Yeah.
quickly go through your West predictions. Phoenix, New Orleans. I don't even think that's a series.
Phoenix
Phoenix.
yeah, Phoenix quick. I mean, we're not the top
sweeping.
Memphis, Minnesota is a little entertaining. Does anybody have a quick take on that one?
I mean, Memphis is great. They're gonna win, but defensively, I think Minnesota will pose some problems. And obviously, Towns being one of the best, big man shooters, he can shoot really well from 3. Anthony Edwards is great. I think that'll be actually a good series to watch, but I still think Memphis is gonna win. I don't think it's gonna be Timberwolves.
Mm-hmm. Any other take on that one? Okay.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, no,
Like-
it's gonna be quick.
Golden State, Denver.
That one's gonna be a good one, I think.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it
be a
both?
good series.
Golden
Like,
State.
if the Nuggets had Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., I feel like
Yeah.
I think I'll take the Nuggets over the Warriors. But like
Yeah.
now with open them out, I think it's to be fair or not fair, but just like
I don't
it's
think
gonna
they
be
have
like
enough to
either go to
beat.
game 6 or game 7.
Definitely don't have enough to beat the Warriors. Jake.
No, Warriors for sure.
Yeah, I gotta go for the Warriors, but
Yeah.
yeah, the Joker's, he's a beast, but Warriors are a more complete team. That team around the Joker, with the current injuries is not that great.
Right. It's actually one of the worst teams in the West, honestly. But if you took Jokic out, and then Utah, Dallas.
Luka's not back. That's Utah's series.
Mm-hmm.
They're not winning without Luka. And Luka's out game 1. I think honestly, I think Utah's gonna win. I think Utah's gonna win. Maybe in like a game.
They have to go far. If
Yeah,
they're gonna break
Utah's
it up,
gonna
if they go out, they're breaking it up. MVP takes.
Ooh,
Who's your MVP?
I'm taking Embiid.
You do think? Why do you think Embiid?
I think he just been so like MVP status for like the past 2 or 3 years. So I think they're gonna give it to him. Because I feel like they're doing MVP like with Giannis, it was like Harden's MVP. The next year was Giannis,
Hmm.
and then like with Jokic, it was like Jokic's like last year. Like I think this do like this by the status. So I think it's to be Embiid.
Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we look at it, right? Like, so Embiid was clearly number one, like through the first couple months of the season, right? And like, what did he really do, like, post All-Star break, where he was consensus number one that should have made him slip, right? I don't
Yeah.
really think he did anything wrong. Like, he kept up playing well. Um, you know, it wasn't his fault they made the James Harden trade, and it's been middling. It hasn't been completely unsuccessful, and it hasn't been completely successful. But his stats speak for themselves. First center to put up 30 a game since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. First center to lead the league in scoring since Shaquille O'Neal. Right. All big deals. Yes, you look at all the advanced numbers and literally everything besides scoring. It's the Joker.
Yep.
But I just think that there's another side of the ball too. Embiid's a much better defensive player than Jokic.
He absolutely is.
Anchors he's the linchpin of that defense. Jokic is not. Yes, Jokic is a better passer. But Embiid can pass it a little bit too, and I just think that other side of the ball, that defense, is too important to overlook.
Brennan, I know what your take is, but why don't you
Yeah.
explain really quick?
Well, okay, so I'll say this before I say who I think is going to win. I feel like there's many years in the NBA where at the end of the season, you know who's MVP. You could just say, yeah, it's this guy. I think there's 3 guys in the league that it could literally be any of the 3. They're all good enough. They all played well to where either of them won wouldn't shock anybody. But I do agree with you guys. I do think Joel Embiid deserves it, and I think he will win it. Obviously, he put up some crazy numbers, like, with Kareem, with that stat and being the first center since Shaq.
Yep.
And, I don't know. I think he dealt with a lot of drama with Ben Simmons, the whole that switching his team and getting Harden, yet that didn't change how he played. And Philly ultimately still a winning team. And he's clearly in the prime of his career. And, I think he truly deserves the award. So, yeah, I hope and I think it's going to be Joel Embiid.
Oh, you shifted. Last week you said
Yeah.
Jokic.
I changed it.
I want Embiid to win. They're going to vote Jokic. He's done something that nobody in NBA history has done. As we said earlier, they don't have Porter. I think Harry said they don't have Porter and Murray. He's led them. Did they win 50 games? I think
Not
they may have
quite.
won. Did they not win? All right, they were almost a 50-win team without those guys. He impacts the game. He controls the game more than Embiid. Embiid's a little bit more dominant. Jokic controls the game more. I would love Embiid to get it. He's never gotten it. NBA writers like parity, so they might vote Embiid, but it would not surprise me if Jokic does win. We are going to end this thing on talking about the Lakers because I would have liked to carve out more time, but
I have my fucking shit to say about this bullshit.
Everybody take a quick take and we'll get into this the next episode. But
No.
Brennan, go ahead.
All right, here we go. Frank Vogel should not have been fired.
Correct.
I agree.
He should not have been fired. He's 18. It's only been 18 months since he just won a championship with LeBron and AD. You give him all these old fucking players who can't play basketball anymore at a high level. You have somebody like AD who just gets injured by just doing a Euro step and he breaks his leg. Russell Westbrook, honestly, I feel like in the back of our mind, we all knew that it wasn't going to work with LeBron. It's just their games should not be played together. And also he's on a decline, which is just even worse for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they're scapegoating him. They're like, yeah, you know what? We're just going to blame it on Frank. Where, yeah, maybe he's done some things, but every coach has a bad side to them. But I think for that team, he was a great coach. And I think Rob Pelinka now is just trying to cover up his mess. And I'm more upset with Rob Pelinka that he would just fire Frank Vogel for a thing that it was his fault. Ultimately, he's the GM.
Hold on one second.
He put that team together.
The Lakers are the jokes of the NBA right now.
Mhm.
Point blank.
Yes.
They're in an awful position. No cap space, no draft picks. Palinka's a clown. I don't like Palinka.
The worst.
I'm gonna pose this to you guys. Magic Johnson's the one who got LeBron James in. Other than the bubble year, they got knocked out in round 1 last year. They've been bad, essentially, you can argue, for a decade now. Like a legit decade. Palinka has built this team. I don't know if he had LeBron obviously had a lot to say this year, but I don't know if Palinka's had his actual shot to build other than the bubble team. They are in a freaking mess. Jake, we have a little less than 2 minutes.
Mhm.
Care to quickly dive into that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, Palinka deteriorated the heck out of this team, in the past 2 years since the bubble. And there's not much they can do moving forward. Like their flexibility is pretty limited. But the one thing I saw that I kind of liked, that maybe could make sense on the other end of it for the other team, would be that Pacers Brogdon and Hield
They
trade.
can't get that. I don't want them to attach draft picks. Ugg.
You
No.
know, I
They're
yeah,
gonna
I
be
think
fine.
about-
I'm not opposed to that trade either, Jake.
No, I
The
can't.
Lakers need to do something. They need
I
to do
mean-
something. They
Well,
need to
yeah.
do
Literally can't do
something.
nothing.
They,
They can't do nothing. Literally, like you can't trade away Russell Westbrook, and you can't waive him because that's a lot of money to waive.
they're still
literally
paying freaking Luol Deng, actually.
well, he just got off the books, thank God.
Oh, okay. But the point is, they have to. They got to retool. I would actually tear it all up.
I would trade AD.
I would
Whoops,
too.
I
I
said
would
that.
trade LeBron too. They won't.
No, fuck no.
Well, they should. Anyway, we're gonna end this episode because we're running quick on time, but we will carve out a little bit more time on the next episode, probably maybe next week. We'll see our schedules. Appreciate you guys all hanging on, and
For sure.
Appreciate it.
we'll do this again.
All right, guys.
All right, man.
Peace.